Wait, is there a village? Wait, there's a village!
Wait,
Hold!
but do we frown?
There's an Olympic
in the
village.
Olympic... I
Yes,
don't
a
think...
lot.
No, stop thinking so deeply.
Olympic village is a phrase you hear
All
often.
the time. Yeah, yeah.
If I had one of those beds,
Wow.
I would frown too.
Hey there, welcome to Board Game Barrister, our local game shop in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I'm Andy, and I'm here with Glenn, Elizabeth, and Gordon, and today we're talking Landmarks, a game where we're lost in the jungle, but one of us has a walkie-talkie and is giving one-word clues to the rest of the team as to how to get out. Let's get into it. Welcome to Landmarks, a cooperative game where we're lost on this jungle map and we're trying to find our way to the exit, and maybe we'll grab as much treasure as we can on the way out. To start the game, we're going to choose one player to be our Pathfinder, and they're going to draw one secret jungle map card that they'll be referencing for the rest of the game. This card's going to have a map of the jungle that matches up with the map all the other players are using on the center of the table, except this one tells you everything awaiting the players in that jungle. These little diamond symbols are going to be the treasures the players are trying to find on their way out. Skulls represent curses that will make us all lose the game unless we can find amulets to counteract them, which is this little symbol here. We've got water, which will help the players refill their canteens and water supply as they go. These little spikes here are traps, which will permanently reduce our water supply values. And last is the exit, this little gray spot with the arrow through the door. Referencing that same card, our Pathfinder is going to look at the 3 words on the bottom of the card and write those 3 words on 3 tiles. Then they'll place those 3 tiles on the 3 starting spots, matching those words with their first letters. We're also going to place our tracker board in front of our Pathfinder, and that's going to track how much treasure we've found, where we're finding water off in the jungle, as well as our current supply of water, which is how many tiles our Pathfinder has to play before we all lose. We're going to start the game with 7 tiles in that spot, and that is our water limit is 7, so every time we find a water space, we're going to refill back up to 7 tiles here. To get us underway, the Pathfinder is going to take the top tile in the water supply, and they're going to write a word down on that tile that they're then going to give to the other players. See, I wrote the word plastic. Now, without interacting with the map at all, I'm going to give that tile to the rest of the players at the table, and they're going to decide where they think they should explore next by placing this word where they think it associates with the current words on the table. Now, the main rule for this is that they have to explore in a space that's adjacent to an already explored space, which means a spot with a tile on it already. So in this case, they could explore into any of these 7 spots, and they're going to make that decision by deciding what they think the word I've written down associates with among those other spots. So if I'd written the word sweep, for instance, then they would probably want to go to one of the spots that was associated with only broom, since sweeping doesn't have much to do with faces or dice. Maybe if I'd said roll or shake, that would only really have associated with dice, but you can get into some kind of cross associations, words that associate to multiple words to try to tell the players exactly where you want them to go. And in this case, I wrote plastic in hopes that the other players would associate plastic with dice and brooms, because often both of those things are made of plastic. Once the players have deliberated and decided what they think this word associates with most, they're going to place it where they want to explore next. So let's say they got what I was trying to say and they put it between dice and broom. Then I, as the Pathfinder, am going to refer to my map and tell them where they've ended up. They're right there between dice and broom, which means that they have found the amulet for this level. I'll indicate that by marking the amulet spot on our tracker board here, and then I'll move right on to the next word. The one amulet on the map will help you cancel out exactly 1 curse. You can't leave the map with more curses than you have amulets, or you'll lose the game. So what that basically boils down to is if you have a curse, you also have to have an amulet and you're okay. If you ever get a second curse, there aren't enough amulets to protect you. Everybody loses immediately. The traps can't inherently make you lose the game, but they will make your life a lot harder. Every time you hit a trap, you're going to remove one of your water supply tiles from the tracker board, and you're going to reduce your total water limit by 1 for the rest of the game. If this stack ever reaches 0 tiles remaining, that means you have no moves left to make, you've run out of water, everybody loses. And that's where the water spaces come in. Every time you explore a water space, you get to fill your canteens back up to your current water limit. Last up is our win conditions. Treasure is what we're trying to find as much of as we can, for bragging rights if nothing else, before we leave the jungle, and the exit is our actual way out. So no matter what else happens, if you get to the exit and you don't have too many curses, then you all win together. Now, the game is mainly built as a cooperative game, which I've just described, but there's also a really cool competitive mode on the back of the rulebook here. The competitive mode basically puts you into 2 teams that are going to be racing to treasure throughout the jungle. Competitive mode has its own deck of cards which look a bit more like this, and you'll notice water supply isn't a factor in competitive mode. There are no water spaces and there are no traps. It's a race against the other team, not against your water supply. The first team to collect 4 treasures wins it, and each team is going to have their own Pathfinder giving out tile clues to their team, trying to get to those treasures before the other team can do the same. There are still curses in this mode though, and if your team ever ends up with more curses than you'll be able to counteract with amulets, then you lose immediately and the other team wins it. We tried both modes today and we had a great time with both, so let's get into the discussion.
Alright, so we just played Landmarks for the first time. We played with 4 players. We played both cooperatively and competitively. The box says about 20 minutes, and I felt that the cooperative version on easy mode was probably about 20 minutes. The competitive version definitely felt longer than that. The box says 2 to 10 players. I don't see any reason why the cooperative wouldn't work on all of that.
Feels like you'd be squeezing too many people around one decision point every single time a tile comes out. Like, it's kind of weird that it would be one Pathfinder and then the other 9 people are all trying to come up with an agreement among themselves.
2 to 5 players play cooperatively. 6 to 10 play competitive.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm on board with that.
It's the shorter way to say it, yeah.
One thing I like is I like the way your decisions work in this game, because you aren't just trying to go for how do I get people to guess this one thing, but also trying to set yourself up for a good play in the future. I really like that kind of planning you have to kind of do.
It says Hamlet. That's clearly a type of village, you guys.
Sure is.
Is it a...
Hamlet's pretty sad.
He's
Hamlet
a very
frowns
sad
a lot.
guy. He is a very... That's a double entendre.
Let's do it. I don't think
Yes.
it has any
Sad village?
association
Sad
with frowning.
village.
Let's go.
Frowning village.
Frowning village.
What did we discover?
You find nothing.
Nothing is great.
I mean, you know...
There's this impulse to write with specificity and to really get a specific word down. But unfortunately, the more specific the words are, they start wrapping around each other in these honeycomb shapes, and now you can no longer make strong associations because you've been too specific. So there's this weird counterbalance between writing words that can be related or could be inferred or interpreted as being related to each other, but not so specific that you can't relate them to other words that are later going to connect on the board.
The starting words are really well done. At least on the cards that we went through, they are set up to give you interesting choices right away that are putting you in directions that might not be where you want to go, and so you already are starting to have to think really laterally. So kudos to the designers on the setup cards and the choice of words that they used.
And as far as what's in the actual box for this price is crazy. They didn't phone anything in. They didn't go halfway on anything. There are so many map cards. There's 50 easy, 50 medium, 50 of the competitive. You're not getting through all of those. The tiles are so nice, and they did 2 sides, so you can kind of pick which aesthetic you want. The cloth map that you get in it is so nice, and there's 2 sides to that. One with kind of a simpler aesthetic, and one with this kind of more complex, fun map-looking aesthetic. The theme of it is just the right amount of touch to make it very approachable. It's not like a heavy theme that would make it so that somebody who didn't just want a nice word game would feel let down, but it is enough to make it intriguing in a really cool way. They did great. All right, that does it for Landmarks. We really appreciate you joining us. We had a really good time with this one. We hope you had fun watching. As always, leave a like, hit that comment, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Subscribe so you get to see our videos every week when we post them, and check out our online store. We've got Landmarks in there, so many other cool games. Check it out. We'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us this week.